God, I hate this. No, sorry. I'm going to start going horizontal from now on, actually. Just every time I put the vertical view on, it just sets it up, it looks great, and then when I go live, the screen looks completely different. It's zoomed right out. It never looks great, but I might just start going horizontal. The view looks a lot better. It's just YouTube seems to love you going vertical, doesn't it? So this water level doesn't seem too great. Does it? Good morning. How are we? I hate this vertical view. Hi Mike. Or Mickey. Yeah, I hate this vertical view. I need to start going in horizontal. YouTube seems to push this vertical view, and then when I get on it, it just looks, it doesn't look good on screen, does it? I think they just push it on the short feed. So let's turn some lights on. So I thought I'd do a bit of a plant chat if people are up to it today. I just see I got this like conundrum on YouTube where I started my channel and obviously started talking about plants, and I don't know, like plants aren't, don't think with plants are my strongest topic that I could talk about, but people seem to respond well when I talk about plants, so it's kind of that conundrum. And you get people say to you, you know, when you're on YouTube, stick to what works. And I think, but what happens if you've got no passion for what people want you to talk about? Like, do you just keep going for the sake of going, or do you actually say, well, actually, I don't want to focus on, especially with like fish keeping channels. So if I've got like 10 tanks, and YouTube in general want me to be a planted tank guy, but I want to breed fish, you know, my hobby, I want breeding fish, so do I have 10 planted tanks? It is what it is. Like, but I find like I get people throwing comments at me like you're the UK's equivalent to Dustin's fish tanks and stuff, and I don't know. But like if it was like that, you know, if that's how I was going to dedicate my channel, then what goes on with the likes of my front toes and stuff like that, it just kills it all, doesn't it? See, that's the thing. With plants, I tried the Wallstad method, did everything that YouTube told me to do, and it just didn't work. So, and then I seen all these criticisms of the Wallstad method, and I thought, yeah, it doesn't work. And then I went away, studied bonsai, and then come back to planted tanks and stuff, and I thought, well, actually, I understand enough about substrates from bonsai to, and I tried it, and it worked. So, but for me, I think I'm not a fan of the plants that the hobby want me to buy. You know, when you go to a fish shop, everyone wants to sell you stem plants, and I don't know any hobbyists that actually like enjoy keeping stem plants that much. I hear a lot of people complain about stem plants, but I don't actually hear of many people really enjoying stem plants. So it is what it is, isn't it? I enjoy the big heavy root feeders, and planting them in some soil, like it sends them off on one, they go nuts. So, but the thing is, like, I think I've got excuse me, I'm just getting over COVID. Yeah, that's what I find, you know. And then you see, like I go into scaping shops, like shops that focus heavily on scaping, and they've all got stem plants in the tanks. And I think, well, you've had that scape set up for, I don't know, 6, 12 months, and that's about 3 weeks worth of growth. So where's the rest of the stem plant gone? It's just, I'm not into doing that much maintenance, if I'm honest. I think, you know, if a plant's in an Amazon sword and it's still there in 12 months doing its thing and it's having zero maintenance, like, what's the point in keeping a stem plant? I might rebrand myself as the monster plant guy. That's a joke, by the way. I don't know, like, I think I put some wall start videos out and I was experimenting with stuff, and some stuff worked, some didn't. I knew I was pushing my luck with all of it, and I said that in the videos, but I think then I went back to basics and I started setting up tanks like this, and I hate this view, so I can't do much with it. But I set tanks up like this so you don't pixelate by the time you get anywhere near it. And then the floor, it's a shed, and it was a shed before it was a fish room, and it looks like a shed floor, so I don't really want it on screen. It doesn't look aesthetically pleasing or anything. But what I found is I was doing everything, and then like I planted tanks up heavily, and then obviously start getting comments then, don't you? Go, no, I'm not a fan of jungle tanks. And I'm like, well, it's not a jungle tank, it was planted and it's grown in. So I think to myself, well, I appreciate what they're saying actually. I'm not a fan of all these, like the whole tank being green with no definition to it. So it's led me to think, should I reset this tank? Plus I want to get the wapongas, the little, no you can't, but I suppose the thing I'm thinking is I want to please myself more than anything, but like this valve, like all the plants that they tell you to do, that'll do well in a dirty tank. Like I put them all in, and like, yeah, they do well, but Val is in between everything now, and I'm like, I don't want it there. I want some definition. Like I want you to see me, or I want to be able to see me. Lilies is something I've struggled with. It seems like a couple of years ago I had beginner's luck, and I got this one lily and it just exploded with growth, and it just kept pushing out healthy growth. And then I bought a couple more for other tanks, and they just didn't grow. They just sat there. Yeah, I had it last week. I had the exact symptoms of COVID, and I'm still getting over it now. And to be honest, if I do anything like walk to school with the little fella, or anything like within a couple of minutes of like any exercise, like walking, it just hits me again. I go right downhill. It's just, it feels like all the oxygen in my body's gone. Yeah, possibly. I think it's going around at the moment. It's like all the little kids in my little lads class all got ill last week, and it's that season, isn't it? Obviously I'm coughing my head off, which I haven't coughed since until I started talking. I haven't coughed for a while. But yeah, it's like, so I think like the likes of this, I'd like to get all the Val out of it because I'm not really enjoying it. I'd like to get some definition. Amazon swords, I've done enough Amazon swords. Like I've proven to myself that I can grow Amazon swords now, over and over again. Like this sword here, it's an absolute monster. There's another one behind it, there's another one that side of it, and they're starting to take off as well now. They were struggling. But I'm just thinking, do I, instead of having like loads of big plants crammed into one area, they would just have one big plant, like in a Tanganyika or a Aquarium, and then down this side of the tank, instead of having all these plants crammed in. Like there's a Aquarium calamastratum there, and I'd like to show that off, but it's just full. You can see the valves in between it all, and it just doesn't look great. And then a valve here, it's all over. And then I've got like 2 lily bulbs there. I've got a red one and a nymphaeus on there, which is like a peachy, greeny, reddy hues to it. And I think I'd rather show that off, and then the valves just like totally dominated all that area. So I just think, well, if I got rid of it and then just kept some of this like the dwarf sodge and let that spread around the tank like it has here, just see where it's spread right across here. Like I'd like to do that in the whole foreground without the valve getting stuck in between it, because it's not fun. Every time you come to your tank you have to pull out loads of valve. Otherwise, like, long term, that's not something I want to be doing. Long term is constantly pulling out loads of valve. It just doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather just break the tank down, get them wapongas out. Yeah, it's just not great, is it? I think like I'd rather just not have them there. Yes, a 2-foot pop today and discovered a hairline crack instead of a 4-foot tank today. Sorry to hear about that, mate. Something that always plays on my mind, a tank cracking on me, or I've had a couple of seals go, but luckily they haven't been like major. It's just been like a drip, and I managed to get the tank drained before. See that thing about you saying about a total rescape though, that's an interesting idea. For me, I was obviously I like dirt. It's just the way I look at it is I like big planted tanks. I like big plants. I like crinums, ponchagitans, like big crypts, dwarf lilies, swords, stuff like that. So, and then I even like big foreground plants. Like obviously I can't keep crypts in here because the temperature swings too much, so they just melt. But like I've got a ton of dwarf sage, and there's nowhere in my area that sells dwarf sage. So, excuse me. So it'd be nice to see like a 4-foot expanse of dwarf sage in front of everything and growing under everything. But what you're saying about the rescape, the idea I like the idea of is like, say I did plant up with dwarf sage, you could let it all grow in. So there's like 4 foot of it. And then coming to like a rescape, I could just shut the tank down, get all the fish out, pull all the plants out, put them in a holding tank. And then re-dirt the tank like you would with the bonsai soil, recap it like you would with the bonsai soil, and then plant everything back up. But you could obviously, it'd give me the chance to get rid of all these snails. I'm not a fan of snails. The dwarf lilies I've never had any luck with, and I believe that the snails are eating the leaves as they're coming out. So either that or there's something off with my water that they don't like, but it looks like damage. It doesn't look like nutrient deficiencies, or it looks like the leaves have been eaten. Or maybe it's just the bits of the leaves that weren't doing well that the snails have eaten. But if I had the snails out the way, then at least I could learn whether it was a nutrient deficiency or me doing something wrong, rather than. But I'm just not a fan of all my tanks having snails in. You know, they eat fish eggs, don't they, for a start? So. But yeah, like the whole rescaping and stuff like that, it's something that's played on my mind. Yeah, That's a good idea. I should probably do that. But I do want to get rid of, the duckweed and the snails in all the tanks. That's a good idea. Yeah, I imagine it is. And I got a Java fan and it had trumpet snails in the roots, and I didn't know what they were. I didn't spot them, sort of thing. And then I ended up with trumpet snails all in one tank, and I'd been transferring plants between tanks, and they must have been in the roots, and now I've got trumpet snails in a couple of tanks. So it's not really good when you got a dirty tank and you're getting trumpet snails everywhere. But I say the reason why I like dirt is, it's like 50p a litre, and if you're going, like, when you've got a 4-foot tank, aqua soil's like a £5 a litre in some cases. And I think I'm not putting like 40 litres of aqua soil in the fish tank when I could just use potting soil and cap it with pea gravel, and then the pea gravel you can just wash out when you finish with it and start again. It solves my problem. Like, I see people talking and they get like 2-year mark with the planted tanks with aqua soil, and like I need to put more aqua soil in. And I think, well, I wouldn't be keeping planted tanks if I had to do that every 2 years. No, but the planted tanks I like. I understand, people like, and the hobby, the industry, since what I've noticed since the Lecky bill went right up, everyone in the UK's Lecky bill went right up. All of a sudden, all these aquascaping shops went from pushing high-tech tanks. Cheers, Mickey. I'll catch you later, mate. Well, what I noticed was, like, with the aquascaping lot, like, they went from high-tech tanks to pushing like low-tech tanks but it's mostly hardscape, and I'm not really a fan of spending all this money on hardscape for a planted tank. I'd rather have plants in the space rather than rock and wood. It doesn't seem like the best investment. But I definitely think I've done what I wanted to do with this tank, and I think I'm starting to get bored of the big, heavy, planted everything. You can't see anything for everything else, and I think I'd like to open it up and get a bit of definition in there so you can make out what plants what, and not so much scape it, but everything's got its own place, and you can see everything for what it is, because there's 2 crinums in here. There's 2 Apongigitans, and I never see them. I just now and again see a random leaf from them. Obviously there's that crinum there, you can see it come up, but you can't see where the leaves go, and then there's a leaf about a foot away off it, so it doesn't really achieve what I want it to achieve, to be honest. So, let's have a look at another tank. Whoop. What's up at there? Got this tank going on as well, haven't I? I think I've got all these. I'm kind of just letting this algae kind of burn itself out at the moment, as obviously the tank's just recently set up and it's kind of establishing itself and getting balanced. So doing what it's doing. So it just, rather than mess around trying to get rid of all this algae, I'm just kind of letting it, try and let it burn itself out, which it should do eventually. But the tank's getting plenty of water change. It got massive water change yesterday, and I'm just waiting for it to get established and balanced, and then all the algae on the rocks and stuff, it's just, it'll all burn out and the tank will start looking better then. But the problem I've got is I've got not that many like plecos and all the other tanks that it's made me forget to focus on cleaning inside the glass, because they're that efficient at it that they never need doing. But this tank, it hasn't got any in, so it just, they stand out. But the glass stands out that it's dirty. I need to go and get one of my algae scrapers out the cupboard. Excuse me, so I'm cleaning the glass. But the plants in this tank, I would like to get them on a piece of wood, but there's an aesthetic I like where people will buy some like ceramic plant pots and they'll plant some swords in it, and then they'll put a piece of wood in front of the plant pots and glue a load of like anubias and stuff on there. And I like that, because you get the big swords at the back, and then in front of that you get all the anubias, and then obviously the rest of the tank you can just use sand in it. I think that looks really cool, and I find there's a few people in my area who do that, who keep discus and angels and stuff, and it looks quite nice. But I don't think I'd do the same thing with these cichlids. I like the idea of just having rocking with African cichlids. I'm looking forward to seeing them grow, these, but it's a long process. They look like they're getting a bit bigger to me, and especially this fella who's just coming, that one who's chasing everyone at the moment. I think he's put on a bit of size, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like in 6 months. They're really slow growing. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's a case of keeping up with your water changes, making sure they're all happy and healthy, and then one day you'll realise how big they've gone. But the shell dwellers down this side of the tank, I think I'd like to move them out. I don't know whether to put a rock dweller in there. I just felt like I should have a different cichlid in there with them while they grow out. But the screen up looks great, does it? Let's leave it. It's getting the screen right. It's hard to get it set up, but I thought it'd be nice to keep a different cichlid in there while they're growing out, and then hopefully get them breeding. But I don't know whether these shell dwellers are the right type of fish to be in there. They're a bit aggressive, and I thought that the frontosa would live down the far side of the tank, but they don't. They want to live in the middle where the plants are. So they use the plants for cover. They'll come in and out of the plants, and they'll dart in and out of them and stuff. So maybe I could move the plants up. That's a thought. Because all these plants are still in pots. Which I like that. For these type of plants, if they're not heavy root feeding plants, then there's no need to plant them in a substrate, is there? So I may as well, like, I've just left them in pots and they seem to be doing well. They've probably been in the pots for like 9 months now, so. This tank, it's one of them tanks I've set up as like a long-term thing. It's just, I don't want anything exciting to happen overnight. I kind of want to, along like a year or two of success of like keeping up with my maintenance and making sure everything. And to be fair, I don't think I'm as on point with like keeping like glass clean that a lot of people are. And, I just like to make sure my water's crystal clear and like really clear, healthy water. Like on my old frontosa tank, I used to change most of the water out. literally dropped the water level down to the point where there was only enough water just for the front hose in there, and the front hose would be on the bottom of the tank, and the fins would be up the water, and then I'd top the tank back up, because I wanted to get as much of the old water out and as much fresh, new, clean water in as I could. So, and that's one of my philosophies. And then, like, I'll feed heavily and then do massive water changes regularly. I find I have the most success when I do that method. Unless, of course, I've got a lot of plants. I think it's the fact that I like a lot of plants to do all the heavy lifting of the nutrients out the water. So when I haven't got plants, it makes me over focus on water changes to make sure that the water's crystal clear. But I always base my fish keeping around making sure that the water's crystal clear. You know, it's got no nutrients in it. It's really clear water. That's what I focus on with my fish. So, and I say it seems to work well for me. And sometimes I find I can get away with having tanks little bit overstocked to what I'd like to keep, but I find with my routine and my maintenance, I find it pays off for me. So there's no worries there then. But I do like these African cichlids. I'm a fan of Lake Tanganyika, not so much Lake Malawi. I appreciate Lake Malawi fish. I like the colours on them and stuff, but I'm not really a fan of the aesthetics of the way they keep them, where they kind of overcrowd the tanks and there's a lot of aggression. But I mean, I appreciate the look of it, but it's not a style of tank I'd like to keep in my collection. I'd rather have planted tanks, or I don't know, or the likes of these with a few different species, where we've got the frontosa, we've got some shell dwellers. The tank was big enough, I put some rock dwellers in here as well. I wonder what, like, I've always been a big fan of Neolamprologus bichardii. I think they're such a seriously underrated fish. The problem is though is how well they breed. It kind of puts people in a position where they've got a lot of fish that they need to move on constantly, but still a beautiful fish. But I find with Lake Tanganyika cichlids, they're really interesting fish to watch, and they've all got their own unique behaviours. I think like the shell dwellers got really interesting behaviour, the fact that they're in and out of shells all day, and they dig around the shells and bury them and stuff. And then you've got rock dwellers like the bichardii. The bichardii will look after their own. They'll have a generation of fry, and then the second generation will look after the first generation, and the colony just keeps looking after every generation of fry. I find that fascinating, you know, and especially when a lot of fish just eat the young, and you have to separate the young from the parents, otherwise they'll all get eaten. I find that protective behaviour really fascinating. And then obviously you've got the likes of Julies, and they're different types of rock dwellers. They're interesting fish, and they kind of hover in the tank like helicopters. The thing I find fascinating with Lake Tanganyika fish as well is, unlike most other fish, they'll go vertical against surfaces, so that the head will be pointing upwards in the tank and the tail will be obviously pointing downwards, and they'll sit facing vertically in the tank. I find that a really fascinating behaviour, and there's many fish who'll behave like that in the hobby. But I think next week when I'm focusing on my maintenance, I think I'll focus on a lot of cleaning and removing. The thing is when I'm doing the water changes in the house, I'll pull all the water out, and then I'll start draining this tank as I'm filling the tanks in the house back up. So as I come out to start doing the water changes in here, this tank's already drained. Oh, alright Glenn, you okay? Dripping 4 lots of shrimp and 3 more to do. What type of shrimp are they, mate? Are they Caradinas or Neos? Are they new stock, or have you just got them in, or is it an unboxing type thing, or just you just moving your own shrimp around tanks, or? I like the I like the way I like the way shrimp keepers reset tanks and they move them around tanks. It's similar to how the Japanese do goldfish, isn't it? Maybe it's a Japanese technique that's cottoned on in the hobby of setting up new tanks and moving stuff around. I was saying, I know the Japanese do it with goldfish. They'll just have tubs, and instead of doing a water change, they'll just move the goldfish to a new tub and then drain the tub they've come out of, fill that up the next day, and then move the fish back into that for a day. I find that a great idea. And then you're never getting chronic levels of nutrients in the tank, are you, if you're constantly draining the tank and refilling it. And I find that's a thing that people do in the goldfish hobby in the UK. In the goldfish societies, that's what they'll do. They'll keep lower tanks than most people will, and then they'll have a pair of tanks, and they'll fill one tank up one day, move the goldfish into that, and then vice versa. They'll drain that the next day and put the goldfish into a different tank. I wonder what they do with the fry, because obviously they breed the goldfish once a year, but they tend to buy shorter tanks that aren't as deep. And I think that's a good idea for planted tanks, because you can get atmospheric CO2 closer to the plants that way. Depends what type of plants you're keeping. If you're keeping big monster plants, then obviously that's a bit of a problem. If you need the height to grow the plants, then. But like, I always thought that'd be cool for a wall start tank rather than having a 30-inch 2-foot tall tank. If you had like a 12-inch tank, I think the atmospheric CO2 would really boost the CO2 levels in the tank constantly. I feel like the plants would do well for it, and the light penetrates further, so it's something that's played on my mind a while, to be honest. I think it'd be a cool experiment. Obviously, I'm a fan of bigger plants, so and floating plants. I like my floating plants. I find tanks always do better in the first 12 months with floating plants. I think the floating plants help to balance tanks, and I always find fish seem more comfortable when there's a surface floating plants on top. Hi Debs, are you okay? It's good to see you in the chat. Chat's pretty quiet this morning, to be honest, Debs, but you know. I find if I don't keep up with these lives regularly, I find YouTube doesn't push them as far, and they don't do as well, but it is what it is. If I could, I'd like to get on every morning at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock to catch up with everyone for an hour, and I feel like YouTube would push the live more than if it did that, but the last day of time off, it's mine as well. I've been off with illness though, as opposed to annual leave, so I'm starting to feel a bit better. I still don't feel my best. I think it hits me every now and again, especially when I walk the shops or to pick the little fella up from school or drop him off at school or something. I feel like I go downhill quite quickly. I think it's like up in Chester, it's kind of like COVID symptoms, so I think once I start moving and doing anything active, it's like my body can't get enough oxygen in it, and then I start feeling fatigued quite quick. But I'm slowly feeling better, and that's the main thing, isn't it? Wow. See, my missus had the injection, and then she had COVID, and then she had the booster, and she said she felt worse off the booster than she did off COVID or the initial injection. I'll do some feeding of the fish, I think, while I'm in here. I find it in this tank, I find it hard to see if the fish are eating. I've put a lid on this tank now as well, Joey Mullen style, the corrugated greenhouse lids. Just, I'm worried about the front hoses jumping, to be honest, so put a lid on to keep them in. And lids don't keep front hoses in, but they help prevent them jumping. I've had front hoses jump through glass lids before, heavy glass lids, and then I've gone in the fish room in the morning, there's been a dead front hose on top of the glass lid. It's gone straight through, knocked the lid up and landed on top of the lid. I've heard the bang on in the fish room and couldn't see anything, and then the next morning when it's been sunlight I've seen the front hose on the lid when I've gone to feed. There's plenty of food in there, it just doesn't seem to be sinking at the moment. What's everyone's plans today? Anyone doing anything fish related? Kaboom. Fed all the tanks now. I've just had my phone trying my phone just try to do an update while I'm live. It's handy, isn't it? I had my 3-in-1 tank cycling and albino cories had laundry eggs in the community tank laid, so I thought why not put in a new tank, and now I'm a baby, so chill. I've never bred cories and it's an amazing feeling breeding fish. I've never really kept cories, to be honest. I've kept this tank hasn't got a light on it yet. See, I hate this vertical view. The light hasn't come on in this tank yet. I don't really fancy popping it on. There's too many snails and guppies in this tank. I need to get rid of them. Yeah, I've kept gold laser cories. They were amazing to watch, but See, my problem with fish keeping is a lot of my friends are prolific breeders, and they all breed like tons of different types of angels, plecos, cories, stuff like that. And I think to myself, what's the point in me doing the same thing if I'm just trying to get shut of the same fish there? Trying to sell, it just doesn't make sense for all of us trying to sell the same fish. See, I like humours me watching them competing with each other trying to sell their fish, so I think I don't really want to get involved in that. I'll just do what I'm doing. And then when they ask me what I'm keeping in it, I say like rainbows and African cichlids, they're like, oh, they take ages to grow out and they don't sell. And I think, well, that's not a priority for me. So it's nice not to have that priority. Let me sit back and enjoy my fish more. But if I didn't have three mates breeding all the same fish, I think I'd be breeding them for fun. I still will breed them for fun. I just don't want to put the onus on myself to be trying to sell them. But I suppose one thing I'm lucky with is a few of my local fish shops have told me anything I breed they'll buy, so it kind of appeals to me. Morning, Jen. Started to breed neon tetras. I've got neon tetras in my tank, haven't I? And I've been considering trying breeding them, but I've never been very good at egg scattering fish. So I don't know how much success I'd have breeding them. But I think it'd be a really interesting project to breed neon tetras. I think they're like a really underrated fish. Everyone bangs on about cardinals, and I've never really been a massive fan of cardinals, to be honest. I had leopard danios probably about 20 years ago. I think when I moved out of my last house, I had leopard danios and zebra danios. They're like really cool fish, aren't they? I think the shop said to me you don't need a heater in with them. I don't know how true that is, but because like the shops will tell you that you don't need a heater in with fancy goldfish, but I find fancy goldfish will do a million times better if you just have them like a little bit of heat in there, say like 24 or something like that. They'll do so much better than at room temperature. I find fancy goldfish at room temperature, especially like when the room's colder, they'll kind of eat the pellets and then the pellets will sit in the stomach and they'll go all floaty. So but danios are like, they're cool fish, aren't they? I love danios. I think like a proper old school, when the pet shop had a few fish tanks in years ago, you'd go to the pet shop and that was one of the fish, wouldn't it? There would be like danios and black widow tetras, neon tetras, them type of fish. Excuse me. I'm thinking of moving these shell dwellers out of this tank. I'm thinking of putting them in their own tank. I've got an 80 litre tank behind me. I think they'd do better on their own. Maybe get a few more shells in there. And then maybe get a rock dweller in here. I'm not sure. It's toying with the idea. I've been speaking to a couple of people who keep Lake Tanganyika fish, and I don't know whether to just add a few more frontosa to this colony of frontosa and just keep frontosa in here. It's just that's interesting. I'll ask the fish shop today when I go in about that. I'd love to see like a ban on a lot of the import, like the likes of neon tetras and stuff like that, and danio stuff that they're not. And goldfish, like the single-tailed goldfish. The way they import them is terrible, and a lot of the shops just buy them off importers because they're cheap. Like they literally pay pennies per fish, and it's. I don't think it's very good practice personally. I think I'd rather pay a little bit more and get something off a breeder. Excuse me, still getting over this bleeding COVID chest infection type thing. Knocked it out of me. But I thought I'd get on, do a live before I go back to work tomorrow. There is a lot of fish like that though, isn't there? That should be banned from being imported, because the way they get imported, the treatment of them, they stop feeding them and then ship them over, and then the wholesalers don't feed them, and then they ship them to the pet shop, and then the pet shop, you know, some of them will feed them, some of them argue to feed them, and I've had fish where I don't believe they've eaten for at least a week when I've seen them, because they look emaciated when I've bought them, and sometimes it's hard to get some fish eaten again once they have an net. Yeah, I think that's, in my experience, like obviously my main experience is goldfish. And the way they just breed them in mass, and I just feel like that whatever they're doing with them, they're like full of disease when they get over here, and then we're just buying fish that are just unhealthy, and they're not going to last. I just remember my local shops, bent backs, yeah. I had a koi like that, didn't I? I was like slowly, its tail folded up over its head, and it was swimming around with its tail was literally its tail was literally above its head in the end before it passed away, and it was horrible to watch. But I remember, like, I used to buy all these. We don't live long, so that's true. I say, I remember, like, goldfish used to be like £1 each. I used to buy them, and like they'd always die, and I thought it was me. And then one day, my local fish shop got goldfish in from a breeder in Chester, and the body shape was completely different. They were like so thick compared to all the other goldfish I've seen. They were like good couple of inches thick, these goldfish, and they were only small. And then they just lived for years. I ended up putting them in a pond, and they grew massive. But before that, I was buying all these like skinny pets at home type goldfish for like £1, and they'll live a few months, and then they'd be upside down in the tank, and you never figure out why they died. And if I'm honest, like, I've come to the conclusion that it was like probably like ammonia nitrite poisoning when they've been shipped. Just constantly getting kept, like loads of them in small spaces, and I feel like just constantly exposed to the likes of ammonia, nitrites, and I don't believe fish ever recover from that sort of treatment. I just don't believe it. And then you hear people say they set tanks up and add the fish the next day, and I'm thinking, well, your ammonia is going to go through the roof for 10 days, and then your nitrites are going to go through the roof for 20 days, and you're just. I don't think the fish, if the gills are getting burnt, I don't think they're ever recovering from that, personally. And you don't know what's going on in the bloodstream with them and stuff. It's just. So personally, I try and stick to stuff that's been bred locally or bred in the country at least. Because I find breeders, if breeders will ship fish, I mean it might cost a bit more money to ship fish, but I find they do a better job of shipping fish and stuff like that. So aquarium salt's supposed to be good for some illnesses. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of aquarium salt, especially for the likes of cichlids and goldfish and stuff. I remember getting invited to a Facebook group, a fish rescue group, and I started saying you should try salt as a treatment. The salt will, one of the things I read is salt, if you're shipping fish, if you put like a bit of salt in the water with them, it'll stop if there's high level of nitrites, salt will protect the gills from nitrite poisoning. Thank you, Leela. And obviously with the likes of whites, I used to quarantine goldfish with salt. I came up with this it was like an American quarantine procedure that like they get the fish and then they dose the tank with salt, and obviously it's got to be like 100% salt. I usually use Maldon sea salt from the shop. It's only like £1 for a big box of it, but if you buy like aquarium salt from the fish shop, it's a similar salt, but it's like 10 times the price. So but I found I used to do that, and I used to use like a discus wormer and treat like fluke, stuff like that, and then I'd do like a white spot treatment. And I found using salt as a basis for all them with quarantine, like, it was a game changer, especially when I was just keeping goldfish, because obviously goldfish come in with all sorts of ill sea salt. Can I use that in a freshwater tank? Well, sea salt's magnesium and calcium and alkalinity, but well, it's a lot of micronutrients. I think like what I tend to stick with Maldon sea salt, or anything that's like you buy from like Tesco's or Home and Bargain or something, and it just say 100% sea salt. It's just pure sodium chloride. Has anyone ever seen when you go in the shops, like I was just talking about the sea salt they sell in shops, or the rock salt, where it's 100%, there's no iodine in it, there's no caking agents, it's just 100% like sea salt or rock salt. These are the salts you can use in like low doses with your fish. But have you ever seen what's it called? Have you ever seen what's it called? Is it the salt alternative or alternative salt, or so? It's called something along them lines. As there. Greenwich. Is it called salt alternative, or I can't remember what it's called, but basically I think it's a type of potassium. I think it's chloride or sulfate, or I can't remember what it is, but it's called alternative salt or salt alternative or something. I can't remember the name of it. Shrimp hummus. How are we? I'm not sure what it's called. I've seen it a few times, but it's potassium. And if you add 10 parts per million of that to a planted tank, the plants will absolutely, well, I'm not saying just like, I'm not saying it's a, what do you call it? I'm not saying like, if your tank's already got, it's alternative. There's a better way to define it. Yeah, but if you haven't got any potassium in your tank, in your planted tank, and you need potassium, it's alternative. If you dose it up to like 10 parts per million, that's your potassium boxed. And if your fish food normally releases enough nitrogen, phosphorus, and if you use that, it's alternative. Then there's all your macros sorted for like really cheap. But I like that Glenn told me, where's it gone? Qual drop stuff. It's looking a bit. Yeah, see plants. They say in general plants like ammonia, nitrogen through the leaves. They like phosphorus, phosphate through the stems, and they like potassium through the roots. That's the argument. But I was just saying, I got this stuff off Glenn, and I've been using this to dose my tanks. It's like, I think Glenn said it was 3 parts calcium and 1 part magnesium, which and that'll buff your GH. I mean, I think in general it's a little bit more expensive than some of the stuff we can buy, but there isn't sulfates. Now, obviously, a problem for me is getting sulfide built up in my substrate, so anything in powdered form is usually a sulfate. So if I'm adding sulfates to my tank, I'm going to end up promoting sulfides, because my tank and we did. I can't remember what we came to the. I think it was 3 parts calcium. Normally say 2 parts calcium, but I'm not worried about 3 parts because the magnesium's only in there as a buffer anyway. It's the calcium that the plants really want. I mean, someone could correct me on that. That's my opinion. It's not scientific fact. I think magnesium's just. That's the only reason why people use magnesium in saltwater tanks, because they use it as a buffer. So, and it's calcium chloride, not sulfate. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if it's in a liquid form, it's usually a chloride. If it's in a powdered form, it's usually a sulfate, and then you mix it up, add it in your tank, and if you've got a deep substrate like me, you're potentially promoting hydrogen sulfide then, and it's not anything anyone wants in the tank. They don't want bubbles of rotten egg bubbling up in the tank. I know it's not as bad a thing as people like to scare people with, but it's more, for me, it's more for the roots. Like, plants don't grow in gas, do they? If I haven't got I'm probably going to make a mess all over the floor now with this, but if I put any sort of plant in that and stick it outside, I'm not talking about aquatic plants, but if I got like a ficus or anything like a dandelion, put it in that, once them roots come out of that soil, come outside the tank, once he hits a gas, the air, it just prunes the roots, it kills the roots. And the same thing happens in the substrate of a tank. If you start building gas pockets up in your tank, then gas pockets are going to kill your roots. And if anyone tells you where am I based? Hi Liam, I'm on the Whittle. I'm in Birkenhead, just over the water from Liverpool. Yeah, so where was I up to? What were we talking about? So yeah, that's always been my thing with is right. So you're from local then? Morton? Oh nice. So have you been to Whittle Aquatics yet, Liam? I done a Steve invited me up to do a shop tour. It was really nice getting in there, and then obviously he's got Adam working there now, hasn't he? Oh yes. Got Adam in there, so I think that's cool for Adam to be with Steve. Steve's like really cool guy, really prolific breeder, and he was the chairman of Preston. I don't know whether he's still at Preston. I think you went for the opening. I was tempted to go for the opening. I think I was supposed to be in work, and then I ended up being ill. So but I'll probably end up in there soon on a lad's day out, because the mates always coming. As I was saying before, they're all prolific breeders of angels and geos and plecos and cories and stuff like that. So, but they usually come and pick me up, and we go spend the day in a few people's fish rooms and go to a couple of fish shops, and they usually go mad and buy. Also applied for the trainee position, but was successful. I'm assuming that's unsuccessful. Ah, right, okay. It is what it is, mate. If I'm honest with you, I years ago applied for jobs in loads of fish shops and got knocked back from them all. And then now I get offered jobs in fish shops all the time, so just keep plugging away, getting to like build up these relationships with people. And that's my advice, is if you want to work in a fish shop, it mightn't happen straight away. Yeah, it is, and the best thing about the Whittle is there's like tons of fish shops. Where Whittle Aquatics is, there's Car Farms just up the road, something fishy, and then the other side's Paul Richards in Liscard. Like, he's a nice bloke. So it's just a case of building up relationships with these people, and then eventually once they get to know you and something comes up, they usually ask you before they put out the position. But if I'm honest, the fish shop seems to love the young, keen lads. A lot of the fish shops tend to go for the young, keen fish keepers. So I'm sure as you're it'll happen, mate. It's just a case of persevering. I applied for so many jobs in fish shops and got knocked back from them all. But I got offered jobs in them. In fact, as you get to middle age, you get offered to buy them. Got offered the fish shop to buy a couple of years ago. But I wasn't in a position financially to buy it, so I have 4 tanks, something I love doing at home. That's the problem, is you get to the point where you want more and more tanks. Good morning, Lewis, or afternoon, I don't know whether that's, can you just have a look. It's afternoon, good afternoon. How are we? I think the trick with shops is the shops always love a freebie, so Oh, I missed the comment off Jen there. John, Jen's commented, I can't see it, to be honest. Are you after French onion plants? Not French ones, no, African ones. But I've already got 2 calamastratum and 2 crenum tianum, and every time I order a crenum natans, I end up with a crenum tianum. So I'm kind of hanging on for Aquaflare to, I think they're seasonal, so like you can get calamastratum whenever you want really. Tianum pop up every now and again. People usually sell tianum as natans and they're not. And I think natans are seasonal. Like Dustin's fish tank hasn't got any natans at the moment. And he orders them in bulk, he gets hundreds of them. Like I think it's like once a year he gets like a big bulk order. So I'm kind of, you can have a look, mate. I've even spoke to people from Australia and all over the place who can't seem to get hold of them, so I'm not when one comes up, it comes up. But yeah, I can never get enough fish tanks, I don't think. There's so many things I want to do in the hobby, there's so many things I want to breed. I could probably just keep 20 planted tanks of all different tanks. Yeah, I think now's the time of year they pop up, so keep my ear to the ground and then hopefully one pops up soon. Right, I'd say I could probably keep 20 different planted tanks with 20 different types of rainbows I want in, and then I could keep like 20 different Lake Tanganyika tanks. There's about 10 plecos, maybe 20 off the top of my head I like to keep in their own like setup, and there's cories, there's angels. If I could get my hand on any angels I wanted, I'd have Rio Nani, Manica Peru, seal points, pinoys. There's just so many. I saw something amazing today. One was growing pothos and Swiss cheese plants in a fish tank. Yeah, I had pothos in this tank. It just, where would you suggest getting bulk tanks? At the moment, depends what sort of budget you're looking at. I think like, and what size tanks you're looking at would sway my opinion on that. But if you're looking at like shrimp sized tanks, them diverser aquariums on Amazon, I think they do like a 25 litre and then like a 45 litre, and then I think there's a 55 litre, but I think the 55 litre is a bit expensive for what it is, and then you get the I think it jumps up to like 120 litre then, and I wish there was something in the 80 litre mark, because that'd be perfect. And I can't seem to find a cheap 80 litre tank in this country. I'd do 20 different tanks for boosters if I had space, time and money. Yeah, I'd love to, remember the old marine flag tanks, I've said this a few times, I'd love to just get like a tank, just shelve it all out with egg crate, and then just glue some pieces of boost and just collect different types of boost. And just run it how people used to run the frag tanks with the marine corals in like 10 years ago. I'd love to do that. I think that'd be cool. Just like a little nano fish in there, like I don't know, like celestial pearl danios or scarlet bodice or something. I think that'd be cool. I think Rob was making little glass shells a little while back. Yeah, I've seen that. I think that'd be a bit complicated for me, that. I think. Good morning, David. How are we? ITC. What's ITC? Mine's gone blank. I've got a live stream brain here, and your brain just switches off when you're live. It's not. Okay, I thought it was like my brain was going rose bubble tip. What were we talking? See, the thing I find is there isn't many people in the hobby keeping rainbows, especially where I live. I agree. I'd love to do a boost style frag tank, but I think I'd probably have. If I was to do like a boost tank, I think I'd cover the surface of it with salvinia. I think I'd get worried about I'd worry about the leaves getting algae on and stuff on them, and or if I got like a fluval 3.0 and just running at like 10-20% whites and turn the blues off and have like 5% pink or something. I don't know, like I'd try that really low and then maybe try creeping the light up and seeing what happened. But alright, these it's none of your business, sir. Yeah, red roof. Do you know what? I had a ton of red roof floaters, and what I do in my time with my fingers is my business. I usually put my fingers in fish tanks when I'm stressed, to be fair though. What type of light are you running, Jen? I always find LED, I always find like LED are really bright, and I think you get loads of. I think the simplest answer would be to add CO2, but then we just go into a whole different level. But here algae, I tend to just try and ramp the lights down a bit. LEDs are always like really bright and really, and the blues in them. People say blue light doesn't grow algae, but blue light penetrates in the water, so it gets higher par than white light or red light. Like red light doesn't get very far into the water, and then the par drops right off. So, it's not necessarily the blue light that's causing algae. It's usually how far it can penetrate in the water. So compared to the other part of the light spectrum, you're getting a lot of par off blue light compared to like white light or. But I tend to find it's hair algae's kind of. I had it in this tank and it just went away on its own. Kind of like I like floating plants to kind of pull all the excess nutrients out and kind of dims the light a bit. But hair algae's definitely something nice. A good list for light stats if you need. I didn't realise you did. Glenn, are you still here? Are you in the background? Can you make us aware of this light stats? Because that's something I'd be interested in. Because hair algae is something I always struggle with, especially as the tank's getting going. Is it? Is it on his website? I always find like hair algae's my nemesis. It's the worst. But in general, like I know, like if I say this, people will say, well, that's not true because, but it's a generalisation. It's a lack of CO2 in the water. So plants need CO2, then they need light, and if the CO2 runs out in the water and the plants are still trying to photosynthesize because of light, and then there's nutrients in the water, the algae can still use the nutrients and the light to grow, whereas the plants can't if there's no CO2. So ramping your lights down can kind of, if that makes sense, it'll increase the CO2 level. Not so much, but it'll balance it. I always explain this wrong kind of thing, but then the plants will be able to photosynthesize all the time the lights are on. Or you can, like, depending on what sort of light you've got, instead of having it on for 8 hours, you can drop it down to 4 and then increase it to 6 and see how you get on. But once you get algae, no worries, Jen. Once you've got algae, it's a really stubborn thing to get rid of. But what you find is, like, if you've got healthy algae growing, you try pulling it out of your tank, it's like really stubborn. And sometimes you can even uproot plants trying to get the algae out. But once you start making the algae struggle to exist, then it's really easy to pick out. See, I think I still feel like a novice myself, to be honest. So Keith just found an 80 litre long complete setup, £100, an 80 litre cube complete for 70. What do you mean by complete, mate? Do you mean with the light, the filter, the heater and all that? Because that's quite cheap. Yeah. Lewis, honestly, if I had the money, I'd pay 70 quid for an 80 litre cube without the filter. Fluval U4. Is this second hand? Are we talking? I've got one of them Fluval U4 things on the floor. Oh, second hand, yeah. I mean, good, nice though. Yeah, £100. Nick. I bit reluctant with second-hand tanks lately, to be honest, and that's what's in my price range at the moment, unfortunately, because I bought a Rio 180 and the seal went on it, and I ended up having to take it all the way up to Premier Aquatics because the bracing on the Rio, you got to be a bit of an expert at sealing tanks to do it, so I ended up taking it. Well, it's not going to be glorious because it's a shed and it's like sheds on its last leg, but I'll give you a look around if you want. Not the ones in the house at the moment, but I mean, there'd be no point showing you the ones in the house at the moment, but we've got this tank. Looks like I'm getting a bit of sound. Am I still on mute? Is that better? Weird. Okay, to paint this, I'm doing an upgrade, so I might get a phone with a cooler camera. But if you don't know, these are frontosa, sighted tilapia frontosa. These will get over a foot long, and they're in a 5-foot tank. I'll keep getting message. Oh, it might be Lewis. Lewis, are you messaging me on Instagram, mister? I'm getting loads of notifications. Mister, these get over a foot long. I want to breed these. These take about 5 years to grow out to get to a breeding size. And then here are my Lamprologus multifasciatus. They're a shell dweller from Lake Tanganyika. They usually breed prolifically, and as soon as I got them, all the shops said told me to keep hold of them. Said they'd buy the fry off me. It's the longest I've ever had a cichlid from Lake Tanganyika that hasn't bred for me. I've had them about a month now, and so far no babies, but hopefully I get some soon. But you know, it's what it is. Then I've got this tank. You have to excuse the floor, it's an absolute tip down there, but it's a shed and it is what it is. I need to get in here. I've seen the notifications coming through, Lewis. These are Waponga red laser. They're like the Praycocks, except they get like red laser lines down them. I'm starting to think I've got 6 females because I haven't seen any colour on them. And then I've got me Bosmoni rainbows in here. Obviously this is a wall-start tank. It's got an inch of dirt, inch of gravel, just organic potting soil, and then a load of old school plants planted in it. The water level's quite low because I've done a water change yesterday, filled the tank up, and then I left the pipe in the tank. Didn't realise it was draining, but I'll top it up. And if I'm honest, I changed most of the water in this yesterday and didn't have the dechlorinator, so. And then I've got hundreds of red cherry shrimp in this tank. It did start off at a really high grade. Some of them are starting to look a bit wild now, but I actually like the colour of wild shrimp actually. And then everyone will kill me for saying that. And then this is, I don't know, it's just, I set it up as a beginning planted tank. Everyone seems to, sorry about my hand, I just don't know where to grab. It started off as a beginner planted tank. A lot of my subs on YouTube love me talking about plants. So I set it up, I've just kind of let it grow out. All this Vallisneria here needs to come out, and then I've seen that leaf. That's people say it's to me that's my plecos. I've got wabbin muster, bristlenose plecos in here, the honeycomb bristlenose. Because if you look, there's no. How do you keep shrimp alive? I've put them in my tank and I've not seen them since. Glenn's the shrimp guy. These are Sarasa comets. These are my favourite type of goldfish, and Jen will tell you I've kept goldfish for about 30 years. There's a ton of mad bits of plant in here that I just kind of let it go nuts, and I need to, realistically, all this here needs to come out. I tend to find with shrimp, once I get my own shrimplet from the stuff I buy, I find all the stuff from the shop seems to die. Wow, I got the disabled bonnet. And then I've got a ton of guppies, and I think the females are guppies, apart from like the yellow ones. That one there, that's a female enlet, and then there's another one at the back, that's an enlet, and then I've got a ton of male endlers. But the baby guppies seem to disappear, and I've asked the goldfish if they know where they are, but the goldfish don't seem to know where they've gone, so I don't know. And then down here I've got a shrimp tank. It's got reds in here, or did have, don't know. Usually hang around on the sponge, but and then there's a few baby shrimp in there, and then my blues. These are high grade blue. Can't remember what they are. They're basically like blue dream. But like as you can see, there's like a ton of babies in there. But Glenn from GB Shrimps sent me this Hallmark, and that reminds me, I've got green jade shrimps, which are like extremely rare, and I've got planaria in with them. I've never had planaria before, so it's just my luck that I'd get them in like with me rare shrimp, because everyone's like bang after. And I bred them all this, like look at this corner, it's just like stuff, lights just all dumped here, and I need to get some cupboards in there. You've seen the behind the scenes stuff, but there's yellow. You know, anyone know Aquarium Delirium off YouTube? He sent me some of his yellows, and they're in here. Well, should be. I haven't seen any, but I need to get rid of some of this Hallmark, don't I? There's just absolute tons of stuff. There's a little yellow shrimp there. There's probably a ton of them in there. I need to get in here and clean these out. But Hallmark, where did you get that from? Some bloke with a dodgy accent sent me a clip. You make me cough now. It's all your fault. That reconnect then, did it? Oh, that is good. I need to get in there and dig this out. I reckon I've got a ton of blues in there. But yeah, I just want a fish room. And then I've got this tank I need cleaning out, setting up, and then the one beneath it needs cleaning out, setting up. I want to put the multis in here, and I'd like to get some of them rainbows in here to breed them out. And then thinking about shifting these. I need to clean all this up. This is like, it's just, I've got no room. It's like 8 foot by 6. I'm thinking about building a fish room. It's getting the money to do it though. I mean, it wouldn't be mad expensive. Looks taller. Which one? The top one or the bottom? This one. It's just the old dual record 96. I've had this for 20 odd years, and then that's one of those 80 litre. It's called a Hagen, so obviously it's a fluval tank, but from before the days of, and if I'm honest, they've been resealed by someone, and the angel breeder that. Yeah, oh, do you know what? I'm getting offered so many fish at the moment. It takes over Hallmark, it does, yeah. And if you notice, there's so I think the problem I'm having with the red tank is it's right next to the heater, like a heater room. Hagen Marina. Hagen's fluval, isn't it? And is it Marina, Hagen and Fluval are all the same company? What's that glowing there? So that's a quick look at my fish room. But the room's like 6 foot wide and then like 8 foot long this way. But I would like to extend this a lot, but like this tank, I want to keep this tank how it is, and obviously I've got me planted wall start tank. But then, like this tank here, it just wastes so much space. Just for what it is. I was enjoying this tank, weren't I, Glenn? And just, I don't know, it needs cleaning out. I bought 5 goldfish just to get a male, and I sexted myself. The shop just left me 2 with a net, told me to pick 5. I picked 5. I couldn't. There's no sign of what gender they were at the time, so we just kind of best guessed. And then when I got them home, ramped the temperatures up. 4 of them got me breeding stars, which tells me they're male. So, you know, what snails have I got? I've got these are the blue ram's horn, but they're actually leopard ram's horns. Just, I find when they get bigger, the shells just go blue. So, and then I've got bladder snails. I mean, like bladder type pond snails in a lot of my tanks. I do want to shut tanks down so I can just get shut of all the snails and all the duckweed. The good thing about the goldfish is I can dump a handful of duckweed and they'll just eat it. But yeah, I think the red tank is too close to the heater. Wait till you see these are going to be big monsters on but they're like really slow growing fish, but that's what I want, because like I want to still have these fish when I'm an old man. And I know I'm getting old, but I mean like a really old man. What's the temperature? The temperature in the room is, well, the temperature in the tanks is 26. But the thing is, if I get a really cold night, the temperature will drop a couple of degrees in here, so kind of run the temperature a little bit higher. But I heat the room so all the tanks heat to a similar temperature. So, I mean, I think the tanks underneath will be a bit cooler than the top tanks, but temperament. Oh, they're really aggressive towards each other. Not so bad when they're young. It's when they get older, you see them like, they'll still go for each other like that, typical cichlid behaviour. But as they get a bit older, you can have absolute murder with each other. Especially once the alpha male decides he's an adult. And he wants himself a girlfriend, and then he just terrorises all the other males in the tank. While he's younger, I had them in my last house. I had them in with Neolamprologus Bouchardi. I had them in with the Shell Dweller, which is a similar one to them ones. And then I had them in with the Neolamprologus Lalupi, which are, they call them lemon cichlids. They're like long and slim, a bit similar to a Julie the Chromis. Get yourself some then, Lewis. But this is like a 5x18 by 18, I think the measurements are. But ideally, you want at least a 6x2x2 for Frontosa. But I had them in. Well, to be honest, I threw it together in about 20 minutes. I just kind of like stuck it together, but kind of had a few Aquascape in. I don't know what the word is for it, but like some styles in my mind like that. It's kind of a 5-minute Iwagumi kind of set up. Didn't really keep. We still need to meet up at some point. Lewis, do you know what? Like, I get that many people telling me that, but the hours at work are so unsociable. Like, I work 2 weeks of days, 2 weeks of nights, and I work 2 weekends in 4, and so like I literally get 1 weekend a month. That's why. It's one of the reasons why I can't do a regular live stream. I think my live streams would do so much better if I could do them regularly. But there's so many people I want to meet up with. There's so many shops I need to get to and do shop tours. Like, I'm getting to the point now where people are inviting me to the Aquascaping and Willow Aquatics or breath taking. Are they? His big planted tank. The day I went to film, the tank was cloudy. He just set it up and it was just all settling, so I didn't really get a chance to see it properly. And then Adam from Adam 7 tanks, didn't he? Aquascape one of the tanks. But I loved it. I love the big tank with the rays in. I'd absolutely love rays. If someone said to me you can only have one. I mean, hi Craig, you okay? Yeah, discus are an amazing fish. I love discus. Joey Mullen used to have these 2 tanks. You know, Joey, the king of DIY. Back in the day, he used to have these tanks. I think they were like 7 or 8 foot long, and then I think they were like 4 foot wide and like 18 inches tall, something like that. I want Kevin. Who's Kevin? Is that the puffer fish? So he had these 2 matching tanks, and he had a stingray in one, and then he had this Asian Arowanas blue brace crossback in the other, and they both drained into this massive sump with a filtration system in it. And they've got bristlenose. What? I'm gonna have to catch up with you. Yeah, but he had checkerboard cichlids, discus in the tank, in this it was just a sump, and they're absolutely stunning. And that's what got me into discus, was seeing them fish. And he had like the parents and I'm just going to catch up with the chat. So I love discus. Don't have time for fish nowadays, as like to go travelling and got no one to look after them while I'm away. That's the problem, isn't it? But I haven't got the money to go travelling, so that's not a luxury problem I get. So Craig's got, what eggs have you got, Craig? Is there more Corys? I have to make the Aussie legend a mod, aren't I? Take care, Lewis. See you soon. They got bristlenose fry. Oh, do you know what? I'm dying to breed my bristlenose. It is the puffer. I love puffer fish. Someone had black diamond stingrays, a Mabu puffer and frontosa in a tank on Instagram years ago. I don't know whether it still exists, but what a tank. It was amazing. Hi Liam. Craig, you're now a mod. Guys, Craig, feel free to share your channel in the chat. And so everyone can go over and see, like, you want to see Craig's setup, man. It's absolutely amazing. Like, and the breeding Craig gets done is something else. I mean, I'd have asked Glenn to share your link, mate, but I think he's in and out doing stuff. I think he's guys, go over and check Craig's channel out. It's amazing. It's just his fish room's absolutely amazing. Or is it 2 rooms? But he's got angels breeding, Corys, plecos. He's got some amazing shrimp. He's got can't think what else off the top of my head. You're breeding at the moment, mate. They're the ones that stand out to me anyway. They're the ones that I love seeing. And his bit of everything. Wow. I want to get these little buggers breeding. I've got a load of plecos I'm growing up, or some of those plecos. I was growing out L333 plecos to have a go breeding, and then got about 9 months into growing them out, and then it turned out like loads of people in the area had breeding colonies of L333s. Anyone fancy mentoring me to gain more knowledge of the hobby to then take to Liam? Just if you subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Craig, subscribe to Glenn. We've got a cracking community, and like drop into everyone's lives, ask questions, and like you learn so much so fast. I say, mate, the knowledge I've got, I just absorbed it all over the years. But I think, for me, I think my advice would be, well, up till recently, my advice would be, do your homework and then go and ask the guy in the fish shop. I mean, the guy in your fish shop is Steve, isn't it? Steve Halsey. So I'd stick with that advice. If you learn something online, go and ask Steve and ask his opinion on it. Like, you could even go and ask him stuff that you've learned off me, and he might disagree with it, which is fair enough, because different people have different, you know, there's more than one way to keep fish. But until recently, like, that would be my advice. But what I'm finding with my local fish shop lately is I'm going in and like, I've got to a point in my hobby where I wouldn't necessarily agree with what he's saying anymore, if that makes, but I'd agree with what he's, yeah, go and check out Rob's like really nice guy, really good fish keeper, and he does a really good live. It's like really informal, like this one in fact. Glenn's GB Shrimps. But what I'm saying is, like, my local shop is, the information he's given out is for someone who's new to the hobby, and like, obviously I'd agree with, I'd like all day long I'd agree with what he's telling people who are getting into the hobby and stuff like that. But some of my methods now wouldn't necessarily, in general, everything, the backbone of everything I do is based on the information he's given me over the years. And when I learned stuff off the internet, I'd go back and see him. But like, the likes of, with my planted tanks now, I wouldn't necessarily listen to him. I'd go and listen to like the likes of Tom Barr. I do a lot of reading on Dana Wallstad stuff because I'm interested in data tanks. So can you explain which Dana is? So Jen's saying that looks like they're going to stop importing danios into the UK, which, if that's the case, then I'd be buying myself some leopard danios and some zebra danios pretty quick. But they used a lot in scientific research. When I done my master's degree, I had to go and do an animal handling course at the beginning of the degree. Hi Belle, you okay? This is Craig's missus. Yeah, right. I'll say when I started my master's degree, I had to do an animal handling in research when I first started, and it's all about I had to simulate. I don't know what the right word was, training, or you have to kind of pinch the skin behind the rat's neck and then hold its tail. Thanks, Belle. They're only babies at the moment, but long-term project. I want to grow them out and get them bred. But I had to like hold it by the tail and by the back of the neck in a safe manner. That was safe for me, safe for the rat. So someone could give it medication in case it needed medication and stuff. And I had to do it with a mouse. I found the rat easier than the mouse because the rat's stronger, so it can hold itself up against you better and stuff. But then I had to do a course on fish as well. But all the fish they kept was zebra danios. Thing that I was gutted about was when I was doing this animal handling and research, they taught me about working with fish and research, but they never taught me how long was your master's. It was 12 months in the University of Liverpool. It was a master's. It was a master's in research. It wasn't like a typical master's degree. I had to go into the uni every day and do 9 till 5 in the uni in the research labs. Yeah, they're looking a lot better than they did when I got them actually. They looked a bit washed out and stuff when I first got them. They're starting to look a lot more active and they've coloured up a lot. And I have, shameless plug by the way, I haven't even used definitely worth it. It's just I'm not doing what I wanted to do at the moment, but to be honest, if someone gave me the money again, and if I was young again and stuff, I'd probably do the word ichthyology. I'd go like marine biology or something. I'd go and study fish. Wow, what's going on there, Craig? Are you moving? Wow, that'd be. If they was happy with us, then said they was. Oh, mate, I hope you stay there. Such a because you got such an awesome setup there. It'd be a shame for that to end. I can imagine, mate. I've had to do it twice in the last 10 years, and fish keeping wise, I don't think I've recovered from moving. I've had to start again twice, and it's a very nice experience. I just noticed my anyone successful in breeding catfish? Corey's. Craig's bred one or two. There's David. David's got a cool setup as well. Another channel you should check out. Just noticed, guys, seen the way all the goldfish are pointing upwards. That's a bad sign. The oxygen level's low in the tank, so I'm just gonna get an air pump in there. So but I'm confident enough in my ability with fish to show you when things aren't. But I say I normally just come in and feed them and then I'm gone. So you know, obviously there's probably a bit of ammonia in the water or something, so the oxygen level's probably dropped with the food. So, but I've got a spare air pump so I can get going, so I'm going to get one in and get the oxygen level up. Just tells me that they're trying to breathe. So. Oh wait. I bought this cheap airline off Amazon and it's the worst thing I've ever bought, fish related. It literally just pops off and you can't get enough pressure on it to there we go, just put the bit of air in there. Look, straight away they're settling down. This tank's massively overstocked and I know it is, but like an idiot I haven't sorted it out yet. And it'll probably bite me in the bum. That's the thing. Liam, that's one thing I teach you about the hobby. If you know something, you shouldn't do something and you do it, you might get away with it today, tomorrow, you might get away with it for 6 months, but eventually that thing you knew you weren't supposed to be doing will bite you on the bum. And it always will. I think I'm just going to leave that. Air's still running in that tank. To be honest, I bought a fluval tidal to put on this tank. I'll have to set it up and get it running. See, YouTube isn't really pushing this live today, but I bet you'd if I tried again tomorrow, which I can't because I'm in work, but I bet you'd if I just come on tomorrow, I bet you'd the views would jump again. I was getting like over 1,000 views on each live while I was off work. But it was also when I put, come to think about it, it was also when I put that wall start video out and it got like a couple of thousand views in a couple of days, and then I put a video out yesterday and it shot up to, I think it was 88 views in a couple of hours, like 2 hours I got 88 views and then it just stopped dead, and then I checked this morning, it was on like 90 and it had done really well. All the stats were really good for it, but it just didn't do anything. Like YouTube's just not pushing it for some reason. Just checking an admin. Has approved your post and fish keeper's will. Oh yeah. That's another good source of information. Check out Tropical Fish Keepers Whittle on Facebook. It's a group I've been on for years, and all the lads on there are cool. It's Paul Richards who runs the fish shop in Liscard. He runs it with his mates, and then you've got the likes of Joe from EG Aquatics. He's a nice lad. He's got his own like fish keeping business. He's on there. Who else is on there? Steve Helsey, who owns Whittle Aquatics. He's been on there for years. There's Dane, the manager from Andy's Aquatics, is usually on there. And then there's a couple of like just really experienced fish keepers on there as well. I can think of quite a load. So. But that's definitely a good local resource. And if anything's going on in the hobby, you kind of hear about it locally on that website. And then what else you'll find on there is sometimes, quite a lot of times, there's some really good second-hand tanks go on there for sale and stuff. There's one I've had my eye on for years. It's a 6B2B2. It's a proper, like, one of these type tanks, you know, the breeder type custom built tanks. I'd love to get my hands on it. Cut all the old silicone out, reseal it, and then well, the shell dwellers just come out with a big ram's horn snail out of its cave and just spatter it across the fish tank. God bless our American friends who flow there. Oh yeah. Them hurricanes, like the weather the Americans get, them hurricanes. Like sometimes the UK will get hit by the tail end of a hurricane. You're like, it's nowhere near hurricane strength anymore. It's just the tail end of like just a bit of, literally like a gust of wind off one. And Jesus, that's the worst we get. Is these like the tail end of a hurricane. So I'd hate to think what it's like. And then tornadoes the Americans get as well, that Tornado Alley. I mean, it fascinates me, but it also terrifies me. Sometimes you get small tornadoes in the UK, but they don't touch ground. Now and again they'll touch ground for a couple of metres across the floor, and they cause absolute carnage. So I don't know what these mile-long tornadoes are doing in real life in America. But definitely need to get that hang-on box filter set up on this tank. That must happen like a couple of hours after I feed the fish in the morning. I come in, feed them in the morning, and then I come in, feed them a couple of hours after lights out. So the oxygen level must drop right off after I've fed. Even with all our plant matter in there, so I'm gonna have to leave that. Definitely gonna have to leave that air stone running in there. And then get the tidal on there to break the surface agitation up a bit and get some more air in there as well. Just worries me. That's what was happening to the fish every time I fed. Mr. G, how are we? Yeah, I say Liam, like, been out with the dogs, wet. Marty Pello, are you? Today's flying, isn't it? Popped in, sold out. That reminds me, I need to go to the fish shop. Don't know what that reminds me of. I need to go to the fish shop. I need some more live food. I'm running out of Daphnia, frozen Daphnia, and I'm running out of frozen brine shrimp. For some reason I went in and bought mysis shrimp. In fact, I might have Daphnia. But I went in and bought a load of brine shrimp. And bloodworm, and I already have like 2 packs of bloodworm. So I've got like 4 packs of bloodworm now. You tried the Ebo food? No, I haven't. Well, I don't know. What did I have? Because I went to buy L333 plecos off someone last winter, and I went in and he had Ebo foods, and he had Dr. Basslet or whatever foods on top of his rack, and I was saying, oh, I want to try these Ebo foods. And I have spoke to Steve about getting some off him, and I didn't get round to buying them. I should just order some today actually and just try them. But this guy gave me like a white tub, you know, like the old medicine tubs. Well, it's beef, isn't it? I think it's really fatty, isn't it, compared to fish though? I used to use my old colony of Francosa I had. Tuna, salmon, veg, yeah, like if you feed freshwater fish, saltwater fish, you can't go wrong. I think I say my old Francosa used to feed them that imitation crab meat now and then. They didn't really like that. I used to buy prawns, the uncooked prawns. I used to feed them that. Bit hit and miss with them. I don't think they were big enough to eat. You're about to say something, I think, Keith. Yeah, I think I've got ADHD. I go off on tangents, so if I start talking about something and I go off on a tangent, you can always remind me. But I used to buy white fish from Lidl and cube it, like dice it into like a fine dice and feed that to me Francois, and they loved that. And I used to feed mysis shrimp. I've started feeding these mysis, and I used to buy krill as well and feed them that. But what I found is, like at this size, I'll feed them frozen brine. But what I found in the end was they were that big. Like each one would swallow a cube of frozen brine whole. And it was that point I thought I need to get something bigger for them to eat. I can go off on tangents upon tangents. See, I think a lot of the stuff that are like the symptoms of ADHD I've suffered with like my whole adult life, and then I went to the doctors and said, look, I think I've got ADHD, all these problems that they list the problems I've got, and the doctors said you haven't got ADHD. I was like, well, you're a GP, so they wouldn't send me to get tested, but like all the problems with ADHD, I've just got piles of everything all around the house and stuff, and like attention, like I can get hyper focused on something, I can just study it for days. But like if I'm not interested in it, I can't focus on it at all and stuff like that. So it is what it is. They call it professor brain, don't they? Because you can sit there in a mess and just focus. I have piles of all sorts. I'm terrible at work after an hour on my phone. It's right. Did you phone me or did I phone you? Oh. When I start making a YouTube video, I'll make a 2-hour long video just waffling about stuff sometimes, and then I tried scripting it and then I sound like a robot, and I just write points sometimes. It's hard to make a YouTube video when you want to talk about everything all at once, and then I start talking really fast, and then I get about an hour's worth of information out in 15 minutes, and then people are like, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about in your video. So but it's what it is, isn't it? I think we see, these have calmed right down now. They're still doing the headstanding bit a little bit, but if you ever see your fish headstanding like that, you know, the yo-yo loach, any advice? I'm trying to control my snails. Do you know what? I've never kept yo-yo loaches. I went to get some from the shop, and I ended up with there's loaches in here. Because I was trying to deal with the snails in this tank, and there's a couple of loaches in this tank. Just kind of leave them alone, to be honest. They pop up every now and again. They seem to live down there somewhere. They just, every now and again they'll come out. But someone told me to keep an eye on my fish. Keep an eye on the fish's eyes, because loaches. We are getting in high level emergencies. Well, yeah, my pea puffers, I had a tank full of snails, and the pea puffers nailed them all in about half an hour after putting them in the tank. And then I had to set up like a little tub in the back garden with snails in. But I got them feeding brine shrimp. Wee tank's easy, but big tank, it's so deep I can't do anything. I've tried all that in this tank, and since I put the loaches in, I say this all the time, I haven't seen any little snails anymore. It's just a big one, so hopefully it's just a matter of time now. But there is, or was, assassin snails in here somewhere, so but the pea puffers were cool, and eventually I got them started feeding them live bloodworm, and then I started feeding them frozen bloodworm. I'm not big on loaches. I wouldn't know. And then people tell you that loaches eat your fish's eyes, so that always worries me. But coolie loaches are dead cool, aren't they? Wow, I've been going for 2 hours. What easy. I think depends, like I think breeding fish for profit's a false economy, if I'm honest. You know, one of the things they say in the hobby is if you want to make £1,000 breeding fish, spend 2,000 breeding them. But it's all about building your reputation, friendship up with your local shop. My advice for breeding, like to make a profit, is like a nice type of angel, maybe. If you got yourself some like nice kois or pale scales or like Bulgarian seal points or pinoys, something like that. Because most shop will always take a bag of angels off you. You won't get much money for them, but every time you turn up, usually. But the problem is there's some prolific, really prolific angelfish breeders on the Wirral. And what do I do with the undesirables? I send them to a farm. They don't live on the farm where my mum sent me dog, my Labrador, when I was a lad. Now, realistically, if I've got any culls, I tend to let my bigger fish eat them. I'm from dog breeding background. Don't set out to breed for profit. When you enjoy, you'll have success. See, does anyone watch Keeping Fish Simple? Do you remember his, like, he had a few tanks like this type of thing, and he'd just have like angels and plecos and cories and stuff like that, and he set like a couple of tanks up like this, and then his angels grew up and he paired up and they started breeding, and he started separating the angel parents and stuff. I think that's the best way to get into breeding. Set up like a community planted tank with the likes of your angels, your plecos, your cories, stuff like that, and then you can add like a pistos, and I think that's the way to do it, is set up a community tank, and as you get a pair, pull the pair, I'll put them in their own tank, and then start kind of breeding that pair, and then learn how to raise the fry. And every fish I've bred, and I'm not talking like different species, like angels, like one pair will do one thing and then another pair will do another thing. So like, even like, say like angels, the first pair I had would breed them. Hi Jeff, you okay? My first pair of angels, they'd breed, they'd let the eggs hatch out, I'd get wigglers, and then as they got free swimming, they'd disappear. So I learned that I had to get rid of the fry. I'd have to get a turkey baster and get them out the tank as soon as they started wiggling. Otherwise, they'd be gone once they started free swimming. I had a couple of people tell me to take the dad out, but I didn't really have any tank space. It was just easy for me to move the fry. So, but then the second pair of angels I had breeding, they'd find the eggs, they'd look after the eggs, but once they got wigglers, they'd eat them. So my plan with them was just to remove the eggs straight away, and but then the pair, like, they got a bacterial infection and popped the clogs. So when we had that last heat wave in here, it got up to about 30 degrees, and the next thing they had like hole in the head, and that was it. I treated the hole in her head, and the growths disappeared, but it was too late. I came in one morning and both of them were dead at the bottom of the tank. So angels are such a great fish, and you can go to like the likes of Wirral Aquatics, Andy's Aquatics. You can go in and get half a dozen mixed angels for 20-30 quid, something like that. If you fancy breeding, well, must have got contacts selling breeding stuff. Jen, I've always wanted to do that, you know, since I was a kid. I was fascinated with snails as a kid, and I wanted to have a go at giant African land snails. I used to have my goldfish when I was a kid, and then I used to have stick insects. I bred them because I had a privet hedge in the garden, so I could just go out in the garden and pick a privet. Did you? Jenny, you should post some stuff on. Should post some videos on your YouTube channel. On if you want to grow your YouTube, let us know. I can help you grow your channel. I mean, I don't know how many subs you've got at the moment, but I could definitely get you some subs and stuff. So get you some activity. Stick and sex. That's a blast from the past. But I always wanted to play with snails. They're so tiny and cute. Albino as well. I'm just Mr. G. I'd take breeding stock. Is there a breeding pair? If you know someone who's got a breeding pair of Wabbin Muster, yeah, like I'd take them all day long. Depending on the price, like I've seen a few silly prices about for breeding pairs of bristlenose lately. But the thing is, with something like bristlenose, I know I could make my money back off the first, because obviously I'm friends with the local fish shop, so I could literally, the first lot of fry I could make my money back on. So, but lately I've seen a few like breeding pairs of bristlenose for like £500, and I'm like, that's well out of my league. It's selling at door snowball set too. Wow. See, the thing is, I've seen people selling zebra plecos like £700 for 4 zebra plecos, or £800 I think it was. And I'm like, are they breeding? And the answer I got was the trapping, but that could be 2 males fighting, and they could still be telling the truth because they're still trapping. So, but on the Whittle, like, you can get zebra plecos for 30-40 quid each. So I know it's juveniles, but my problem is everything I've got at the moment I'm growing out. Then I'll need more space for the fry, so do it, Liam. If you want to set up a YouTube channel, do it. I'll help you. I can mentor you with the YouTube channel. I'm not promising you I'm going to get 1 million subs, but I could definitely get you up to 100 subs in a few months, which a lot of channels it take them maybe a year to get up to 100 subs. Like the guys I know, it helped get you there in no time. And I was worried about embarrassing myself when I set up a YouTube. The first YouTube channel I ever set up was the kids. Wow, that's insane. Like, see, but in general in this country, you see zebra plecos going for well over 100 quid, but locally they're like 30 quid. So, but then I think to myself that the breeders who are breeding them pay hundreds of pounds for their stock, and then can't get shut to them for that price, which is, it's kind of sad. But I don't know. I don't know whether I can get this on camera, but there's a Wabbin Muster just there. And it looks like a female. I'm hoping it's a female. I've definitely got a male. He's got a big one with loads of bristles on his nose. So But I've got peppermints, I've got wabbermuster. They're 2 colony of plecos. I'd like to get some calico or super red and then some lemon eye. I love the and I think them type of bristlenose, I think it's a waiting game, but once you can get them bred, like the shops will always take them types of bristlenose off you. No shop seems to want common bristlenose because they just, every shop I go in's got like 200 1-inch, 2-inch bristlenose babies, and they're trying to sell them for £1 each. But no one wants bristlenose that small because they take so long to grow out. So, but yeah, the weather loach, you don't hear much of them anymore, do you? And I'd love to keep some of them weather loach. Because they go well with goldfish, don't they? And they get massive. I think the problem in the UK is like decent sized tanks, I wouldn't know where to start or talk about. I feel like others may know more knowledge than me. That makes, doesn't matter, Liam, just get started. Just do a vlog. Just you know, you don't have to know everything. You'll get the likes of me, Craig, Glenn, Rob, Jeff Pelham. There's Jeff Kane in the chat. There's loads of channels, and I know our gang of YouTubers that I kind of knock about with on you. I know that they'd mentor you, so obviously and we just, I think a lot of us we're just curious what each other are up to, and we, you know, share advice and stuff we've worked for others. But if you want to do it, just do it. It's not as daunting. It's not daunting as experience as it seems at first. I think, like, I'm in work, and like I work in I work on a dock, so like I work with dockers, so like it's notorious for people taking the mick out of you, and I never told anyone I was on YouTube. They just kind of find out naturally, and got a few funny comments, and I was like, so I don't care. Like, I enjoy it. Like, I've met some amazing people who are considered friends. You know, before that I could have just been sat in my fish room. There was a loach just here I was going to show you, and it seemed to have disappeared. Down there it is. Chatting away. Yeah, see if I can lower this off. The problem is they disappear there fast. They come out and disappear. It's nerve-wracking though. Not really. I mean, there is a first, but there's nothing to be worried about. And I think welcome in, Skipper. There's the loaches there, swimming past. You see them? I don't even know what they're called, you know. I went in for coolie loaches or I can't even say it, yo-yo loaches, and came out with this. Yeah, it can be a bit nerve-wracking when your first video will be nerve-wracking, and then no one will watch it, and then you'll think, what am I doing? And then you'll get like imposter syndrome, and your second video will be the hardest to put out, and then if you put that out, no one watches it, you're like, well, YouTube isn't for me, but it is. It's just so competitive. But then I find the content I've gone live now. I know it's not the most exciting live, but I know people come on, chat to me, and I enjoy chatting with people. With my work-life balance, I haven't got a situation where, like, most of the time I'm in work, I'm working on sociable hours, so I couldn't say, right, every Sunday night at 8 o'clock I'm going to go live. That's, if I could, like, it'd blow my channel up a bit, I think. But most of the stuff I share, most of the videos I make, apart from like the fish shop tours, are based on questions I get asked by people, and it takes a little bit of time for people to start asking you questions on a regular basis. But like I was saying, there's so many people in my gang of YouTubers that support you, help you out, and help you grow your channel, that you'd get over that phase quite quickly, and people get to know you. And if you obviously you need 50 subs to go live. I reckon you could do it quite quickly. If you make a couple of videos, just do like, did you say you had 4 tanks? If you've got a couple of tanks, just do a fish tank tour. Show what's in your tanks, post it. And let me know. I'll share it with a few people, and yeah, and then you'll be able to go live. Just do an informal chat like this. A couple of people come on. Lewis was in before. When I first got to 50 subs, I'd go live, and me and Lewis are just kind of rainbow fish. Yeah, we've got Waponga red lasers, and I've got some supposed to be super reds, Boastmoni rainbows. Yeah, but I want to get them separated and start trying to breed them. I think I've got 1 or 2 male Boastmoni. I'm not confident sexing the Waponga red laser at the moment, but just put a spawning mop in and see how we get on. But yeah, and then YouTube's it's just basically a snowballing effect. Put a video, you get a sub, put another video, get another sub, and it just starts building up. But I absolutely love YouTube. I treat YouTube differently now as a user of YouTube than I used to before I had the channel, because when I go on now, like, good man. So that's interesting. Be interesting to see a YouTube channel from the start. Like, mine was, I don't know, like mine just kind of, I wanted to do it, did it, and it just went. But I do think it'd be cool to, support a YouTube channel, get going. And I do think with our gang, I do think we could quite easily push someone to 100 subs nowadays. Which is, I'd argue it's the hardest bit, and I don't mind supporting people to grow the channel and stuff. there's a lot of I think there's a lot of channels that were small who are just starting to get a bit of traction now, which is nice to see as well. The ones that I was watching anyway. But I just realised it's getting up to 2 o'clock, and I think I need to start ending the stream soon. So. I'm kind of pretty much damn, it's like 2 PM here. See, I always think I'd like to go live early in the morning, and I realise like the likes of the lads over in the States, it's the middle of the night for them, and obviously my fish tank lights aren't until 10, so kind of like to leave the fish room on it alone while it's dark. But I feel like if I could get on at 8 AM and start streaming, I think it'd suit my day a bit better. But I need to start making more regular stuff on my channel. Like, I'd like to set up a proper regular live stream, get some guests back on. I had Rob and Glenn on, didn't I? They came on, and I had a really cool chat with them, but I don't know what happened there. I think it's quite self-conscious live then. I don't know why. But it's nice getting guests on, isn't it, and chatting with them and stuff. So I seen Stephen P had Tom Barr on. Now that's, for me, that was really impressive to get Tom Barr on live. I didn't even think us mere mortals could do something like that. So might slip into Diana Wallstad's DMs and see if she fancies doing a live stream with me. I did actually ask Patty from Patty's Aquatics to do it live, and then he mentioned obviously his missus wasn't well, was she? So I kind of felt like awkward saying, yeah, but can you still go live? It's a bit rude, isn't it? You know, it's just had some devastating news and stuff. But I might reach out to him, see how he is and stuff, and whether he'll be up for it. But I know he started his own live, hasn't he? So totally true that, Jeff, and that's I see that's a different style of live. But they're the styles of lives I'd like to do a bit more of. Like, I enjoy coming, like, I'd like to come on in the morning, just chat away to whoever's in chat. I seem to like, at the moment, YouTube isn't pushing my short, me live on the short shop like it normally does. If I do it regularly, I reckon it'll kick back off. And I thought that was interesting because you get people drop in and chat and stuff, and I enjoyed that style live. But I'd like to do like an evening live like people do, you know, where you get guests on and stuff and have a topic to talk about and stuff. One thing I thought would be cool is you know, debating different styles of fish keeping, like the planted tank guys against the high tech guys. But it's finding enough people with enough different you know, like got Glenn who's like mad on his Caradinas shrimp, and then we've got like Mark Shelley, who's big Neo guy. It'd be nice to see them talk about the different styles of shrimp keeping with the Neos and the like the cherries, and then obviously like the crystals and the galaxy fish bones and stuff with the Caradinas. I'd love to see these like little kind of like crossover chats where people, it takes people out the comfort zone, doesn't it, kind of thing. I think that'd be an interesting thing. But I do really enjoy that, the evening type streams with like a couple of guests. I miss, I don't know what happened to Arnold, like he pops up every now and again and stuff, but he was on Jeff P live, wasn't he, as like a co-host, and I thought he'd done like a really good job of it, of co-hosting for Jeff. Because he was always on the chat, wasn't he, when he was busy, and he'd pick out like the comments and stuff, and he'd moderate the chat and stuff while the live was going on, so Jeff could focus on his live and focus on keeping the chat on the live on top of it and stuff. I think there isn't many people like that who can do a good co-host, I don't think. Is he? I need to I usually catch up with him on Adam's, don't I? Adam usually invites me on his live every now and again, and usually Arnold is on there with us, so I didn't realise he was on with Andrew. So you do. I haven't heard much from Shane from Tanks and Fish. He pops up now and again, and then he's another one. And Dave from Horizon Fish Keeping as well. I love Dave's channel. He's I love the fact he's breeding everything. So I'm waiting for Liam to pop back up in the chat and kind of like I'll have to check that out. The weekend for me is the busiest time of the week, unfortunately. I think Liam would be messing with Google at the moment, trying to sort his YouTube channel. He's probably recording everything in his living room. She drove me mad because I like when I set my channel up, I set it up and just recorded every day of the week. It's busy for me. Oh, it's mental, isn't it? Like if I'm off this week, I'm in work next week, and if I'm on days this week, I'm on nights next week, and I never know where I'm up to. And they just changed all the rotors, so I'm on different days. I just got used to its days off. I had, and then all of a sudden. And then it says you got 2 weekends off out of 4, but realistically, like you finish work Saturday morning, so you're in bed all Saturday, so that's one. And then the Sunday night you're on nights, so there's another. So Sunday you're in bed all day 1 week, so realistically you only get 1 weekend off out of 3. It's just, I just wish you could be a full-time YouTuber. Life would be so much simpler. Even if I could just like go live for an hour in the mornings and then do like I don't know, like a Tuesday night or a Sunday night, a couple of hours with a guest on or something. and then I'd love to put out 2 videos a week. I found when I was putting out 2 videos a week, I found my channel, it's like the activity of one video pushes the activity onto your next video, and it just kind of snowballs. And I found that I got to a point where it was just as the activity on one video was dying out, I'd post another one and that'd kick off, and then every video I put out like that just got more and more traction. But I find if you lose that traction, it's so hard to build it back up. And I've got to the point now as well where I'm getting invited to do fish shop tours and stuff, so like instantly that's like one video, and fish room tours as well. There's well, 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 fish rooms, 4 that I could tour. Yeah, I agree with that, Jeff. Like, I wouldn't want to do it where I was dependent on the income from it to be my main source of income. But if I had a source of income where I wasn't focused too much on the, you know, if I had enough money to get by and then do YouTube, then that'd be the ideal scenario, I think. If I wasn't doing it for profit. There you go, Jen. You need to hang around with us as well. I think Jen would get on really well with Lottie's nature, Charlotte. I'm just kind of hanging around now for Liam to come back. Just trying to make conversation. Because I kind of, well, not kind of, I want to help him get his channel going, don't I? So. I got to the point now with my channel where I'm not focused on stats anymore and stressing over getting this and that and the other. Don't get me wrong, it still disappoints me if I put a lot of effort into a video and it flops. But sometimes it's like the algorithm just doesn't pick your video up at all, it just doesn't promote it at all. That would be great, yeah. So I think with my job as well at the moment, there's a good pension scheme, and you can kind of cash it in early and retire early. So I think to myself, as long as my house is paid off, if I built myself like a nice style of YouTuber's fish room where you could do a bit of... Is this Liam? Is this the Liam with a... Yes. Is there any mods? Any of my mods still on? Glenn, are you in the background? Craig? Guessing not. Jeff, I'm gonna... I've added you as a mod, mate. Could you share Liam's channel in the chat so we can give him a few subs? Oh, the goldfish just got nuts. If you don't mind, mate. It's the only way I can... It won't let me view his channel through the thing, and then if it did, it'd probably shut the live stream down anyway, so... couldn't find. So we've got pin message, report, remove, channel activity, add as mod, put user in timeout, or hide channel. So I can't. So Liam, I can't find a way of sharing you on here. If there we go. What happened there? Whoops. Is everyone still there? I don't know what I've done then. I just clicked on sub. Right guys, so I just clicked the sub and I think it just kicked me off the live and then I had to come back in. So, but it wasn't apparent that the live was still running on my YouTube channel because it just. So everyone goes and subs to Liam, and then I'll call it a day there. If everyone can tell me they've subbed, and then I can end the live and go and get myself a drink and stuff before I go and get the little fella from school. I've got responsibilities, Jen. It's just, unfortunately, I could sit here all day and talk fish, and I know people are popping in and out. So Liam, what you need to go and do now is go and record a 10-minute video. It needs to be 10 minutes or the algorithm won't push it. And then download VN video editor on your phone, and that way you can do your video editing, trim it and stuff like that. And then if you download Pixel Lab, then you can go and do yourself some thumbnails, but you'll have to verify your YouTube channel before you can create your own thumbnails. But that's what you need to get started. Maybe just do a 10-minute tank talk. Yeah, shorts as well. That's another piece of advice. That's a cracking piece of advice. If you want to build subs, do a few 15-second shorts, and then all you have to do is like record your short, add some music, and then write a description of what we're seeing on your short. And I usually do one daily when I can be bothered. If I'm in grow my channel mode, I'll do one a day on. So most of the big YouTubers are got ADHD, by the way. Right guys, so I'm going to call it a day. We've got hi Craig. This fish here is, that's Henry. Fish tank lights have just gone off, which means they're ramping up, which means it's 2 o'clock. This is, where are we? So that's a Waponga red laser rainbow fish, and that is a Bosmoni rainbow fish. That's looks like a female. That one, I think that one's a male. See with the different colour on it. The males tend to be more colourful than the females, but they could all be females. Because what happens is they buy all the people buy all the brightly coloured males from the shop, and then take care, Jen. See you soon. Jen, don't forget to post a video of your African land snails and get it shared. Right, guys, I'm gonna call it a day, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next time I'm off work. Take care. These sleeves wet, guys.